you want to raise your hand, people in the back can bring fans in. Ooh, the choir needs some fans as well, just so we know. Welcome on this, and thank you so much for coming this morning. Let us open our hearts to this day, to the beauty before us, the love within us, the life around us. May we choose joy and harmony of being, and choose to thrive for the good of the whole. It is good to be together, to worship with one another, to center in on love and mystery. Let's sing hymn number 361 together in the gray hymnal. Enter, rejoice, and come in, and feel free to sing it to yourselves, to each other. Rise as you are able in body and spirit.
Clifford, and I'm a member of the worship committee. I'll start all over again, since we're being recorded, yes? Good morning. Welcome to First Parish in Milton. My name is Chris Clifford, and I'm a member of the worship committee. If you're having trouble hearing me, but if you're on Zoom and you're having trouble hearing us, please message in chat, and we will attempt to correct the situation. We are so glad you've chosen to be here with us this morning, or to join us virtually. However your journey, whatever your heritage, and whomever you love, you are welcome here.
You who are full of hope, and you who have no hope to give, you are welcome here.
You who are grieving, and you who are feeling deep joy,
you are welcome here.
You are holding both sorrow and gladness and a little confused about it. You
are welcome here. You who tell great jokes and who fill our community with holy laughter, you are welcome here. And feel free to join in on the litany if you'd like.
You who are tired of never being noticed, and you who are tired of always being noticed.
You are welcome here.
You who aren't sure quite if you want someone to notice you or not.
You are welcome here. You who are just the best at coloring, and you who are the first to say, I can't draw.
You are welcome here. You who almost didn't come, and you who have been looking forward to today for a while.
You are welcome here.
You who have been through a lot and aren't sure how much more you can take.
You are welcome here. You who don't exactly know why you came and you still decided to show up. You are welcome here.
You who are holding tight a piece of yourself, waiting for someone to hold it with you.
You are welcome here.
May our time together be a blessing for this community and beyond. Your presence here on Sunday morning enriches worship for everyone. This sanctuary is made holy by your presence. If you're joining us for the first time, a special welcome. You'll find information about First Parish in your pew. One of our greeters or I would be happy to answer any questions you might have, and we would be happy to walk you to social hour at the end of the service. The work of living our faith is done both in and out of worship, so I call your attention to the printed announcements that came in your order of worship or found on your email link. I've got one particular notice this morning. It is about our fabulous choir. Today we're welcoming a new soprano Hunsaker soloist, Elaine DeBer. Our new bass soloist, who is ill, will not be singing today, but he is part of the quartet. Well, he won't be part of the quartet today, but Steve Yakutis and Jeff Stute have kindly said that they would fill in for the bass soloist. And then also, please mark your calendars for Saturday, September 23rd at 7 p.m., when we have a veteran Broadway and TV actor who will be appearing here in Milton Community Concerts. And the concert is called A Bit of Broadway Magic. Now, let's take a few minutes to greet one another and extend a warm welcome to old friends and new. Staying in our seats to be COVID safe, still kind of, because it's on the rise a little bit, so. For those of you on Zoom, please turn on your cameras and go to the gallery view so you can say hello.
Welcome, Chris. Welcome.
And the admonition of our times is, as we enter into worship, please take a moment to make sure your cell phone is silenced. Now is the moment when we can focus on being here, when we can just choose to connect with ourselves and the divine, when we can choose to just be present. This morning, chalice lighters, I saw Leona and Abby had volunteered to light the chalice with me. And Leona, who was in the front, has disappeared to the back, but I see her coming. Abby, are you going to come up too? No? It's okay to be shy. Each Sunday, we light the chalice as a reminder that even in an increasingly unpredictable and dangerous world, the flame continues to shine, a corner of warmth and awareness where we, the members of this faith community, can find comfort, support, and connection to one another. Now, please join me in saying the call to worship. Come, let us gather. We gather to celebrate the sacred within and among us. We come to seek spiritual growth and understanding. We strive to practice acceptance, forgiveness, and love. Together we work to build a world of justice and compassion. Come, let us gather together.
So has anyone here heard of Reverend Fred Rogers? How about Mr. Rogers? Anyone? There you go. Well, this year, the second to sixth graders are going to be working through this wonderful book and curriculum called Holy Troublemakers and Unconventional Saints. And so we're talking Fred Rogers this morning. He's most famous for starting a television show for children in 1968 called Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. It lasted for 33 years, creating over 900 episodes. He would start each show by asking the viewer, "Won't you be my neighbor?"
This show was very different from children's shows before because he really trusted a child's curiosity. And he wanted to help them figure out different things like, where does the recycling truck go? Or exploring all kinds of feelings, helping people understand that feelings are okay. What we need to figure out, he would say, is what to do with those feelings. And if things felt too hard, he would always tell us to look for the helpers. I'm wondering if anyone here has ever heard the advice to look for the helpers. It's some wonderful wisdom we've got out there. And it's really wonderful that there are a lot of people who are helpers, like this wonderful congregation.
Fred Rogers was a musician, writer, puppeteer, and Presbyterian minister. He used his talents to model his hope for the world and for each individual. So let's look at some of his routines, see how he did this.
So at the beginning of every show, Mr. Rogers would walk into the house, take off his fancy jacket, and put on a cozy sweater. He would then take off his dressy shoes and put on comfortable sneakers. When he did this, he would say, "It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor. Would you be mine? Could you be mine?"
A friend talked to me the other day and helped me understand a little bit more what that whole routine was about, why he did that. My friend works in New York City. She works very hard in New York City, and she takes a train home outside of the city. And her husband likes to pick her up at the station to give her a ride to the house, though the house is only a half mile away, and she would prefer to actually take a walk to help her unwind so that she could come into the house ready to be with the family, away from work worries and stresses. One day when her husband picked her up at the train station, he said, "You have your train face on," which meant a tense and serious face full of worry, full of thoughts. She explained that though she appreciated him wanting to help her by giving her a ride, she really preferred walking so that she could, for about a half mile, so that she could unwind and kind of get rid of that train face. This is what Fred Rogers was demonstrating every show when he would take time to take off his work jacket and put on his comfy sweater, to take off his dress shoes and put on his sneakers before he would start the theme of the show. It takes time sometimes to settle into being ready to be a good neighbor. Sometimes you need to let go of where you've been to be more welcoming with anything, even where you are. We sometimes need just a little time to adjust, a little time to get comfortable so that we can be open to others.
So I'm wondering if anyone here has maybe experienced that train face. Yeah, you've had a train face. I see a couple nods out there. Okay, let's practice our grumpiest, most annoyed, fed up train face, okay? Wow, I see a lot of really grumpy people. Okay, so we'll have our train face on, and then we'll take a deep breath, and we'll let it go. we'll let that train face go, and we'll practice 2 more times because it's hard letting go of your train face. Okay, so we'll make our grumpiest train face. And then we'll take a deep breath. And we'll let the train face go. One more time, just so it can really stick. We're making our grumpiest train face, the grumpiest one yet. And we're taking in a deep breath. And we are letting that train face go.
Another thing that Mr. Rogers did was tell stories or behave in a trusting way that helped people understand important issues in society. In 1969, many people in our society were frustrated and angry over pool segregation policies in the United States. At that time, there were many swimming pools with rules that white people and people of color could not swim together. They could not be in the same pool together at the same time. Now, Fred Rogers felt this needed to be addressed and was in a way to address anti-racism. But he didn't say that. In one episode, he sat by a kiddie pool and put his bare feet in, took off his shoes, rolled up his pants, put his feet into the kiddie pool, and there was just enough room for somebody else. He then invited Officer Clemens to take a break from his work and join him in the kiddie pool, taking off his shoes, rolling up his pants, and putting his feet in. Now, Officer Clemens was a black man whose actual name was Francois Clemens. They would talk together with their feet in the same pool of water for some time, and that was it. That same year, the Supreme Court ruled that pools could not be segregated by race. So he was just a little part of helping society become healthier through his wise welcome.
You see, Fred Rogers believed in loving and appreciating our neighbor. And when we do that, we are participating in something sacred. Some people call this God in relation, or respect for the interdependent web. However we name it or call it, we can affect and support one another. We have the ability to make choices for peace and justice and equity. Because at the end of every episode, Mr. Rogers would say, "You make each day a special day. You know how, just by being you. There's only one person in this whole world like you. And people can like you exactly as you are."
So, you were given some stickers. And did the choir get some stickers?
Did anyone not get stickers?
Yeah, I don't think the choir got stickers.
you got some.
Oh, you did get, ooh, cool, man.
Stickers.
Okay, so you got stickers. They may be a little hard to get off, but hopefully they are, but not yet, not yet. Okay, so what we wanted us to do for just a little bit is practice asking, being a good neighbor, and being a good neighbor. So it starts with welcoming yourself, liking yourself, affirming who you are, and then you're ready to say, "Won't you be my neighbor?" So Louise, you want to start? You want to help me?
Morning, Reverend
morning.
Lisa. Well, I'm wondering, won't you be my neighbor? Seems like you'd be just a delightful neighbor.
Oh, good.
And in building that relationship, I'd like to tell you a fun fact about myself,
Yes.
which is that sometimes I cut stickers the wrong way, and then they're really hard to get off.
Oh.
But I'm also really dedicated to just the art of stickers.
Okay. So you can give me one that, oh, you got it off, right?
Maybe or maybe not.
Okay, so you can just give it to me.
I'll
then.
just give it to you.
Oh, thank you so much.
You are welcome. You are so welcome. Won't you be my neighbor?
I will be your neighbor, Louise. Louise, I wanted to let you know
Yeah.
that I have 2 cats,
Whoa.
and I really love living with them. Won't you be my neighbor?
Yes. Thank you.
So what you do is just, I think we might, if you can get it off, it's great. We wanted to put them on here, but hey, Hand the person a sticker and just say something first about yourself that you want to share, something that you like, something that you do, somewhere that you live, something that you want to share with the person next to you. And we gave you 2 stickers, so hopefully you'll do that with 2 people. Basically, hello, my name is XYZ, this is me, won't you be my neighbor? Go. Can I have some? There we go. This was a warm-up. You did beautifully. Holy moly. What great neighbors you are. Please come back to your seats, and this can be continued at coffee hour. So let's take a moment for stillness. Now, this is another very important part of how we can welcome the day, welcome each other. In this society now, most of the time, our minds are racing, 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 racing. So we really have to practice stillness. And that's why it's a wonderful thing that we do together here. So I'm going to invite you to just get in touch with your breath. Let all the conversation that just happened flow through you like clouds in a sky. And just sit in stillness for a little bit, listening to the sounds. I know I do, and I think most of us know what it's like to feel lonely, know what loneliness feels like. It's a kind of an emptiness sometimes, even a fear, a kind of discomfort and uneasiness with who you are, where you are, why you are kind of thing, this loneliness. Sometimes it even hurts. And in fact, this society, and maybe even the world, but definitely in this society, loneliness is at epidemic levels. There are more people, many more people that now say they don't feel they have a friend or they feel they're lonely than in any other time there's been a survey. Now, of course, there are lots of different reasons that one might feel lonely. Sometimes we're new in a place and we don't know what to do next, or sometimes there's a change at home. There might be some empty nesters in here where the children have left home, and it's different. Home is different, so there can be a kind of an ache of loneliness in that. Something might have happened at school or work that you didn't know about. It's, like they say, I don't know how many of you know the phrase, I didn't get the memo, Everybody else seems to know it and you don't. That can feel kind of lonely. And then, of course, a loss of a loved one. That's a big, deep loneliness that takes a while to work out. And sometimes there's a failing out with a friend, sometimes a falling out with a friend, sometimes you just don't get along anymore. That can be a loneliness. Or maybe everyone gets the joke but you don't get that joke. Or maybe you just told a joke and nobody else gets it. Oh, that can feel kind of lonely too. People might avoid you because of a disability, or you might have a disability that people don't know about that has you feel distant, like not being able to hear as well, that you can't really see that, not to being able to see as well, not being able to read. These things make you feel lonely. We would all like to be seen, recognized, acknowledged, all of us. And all of us have this knowledge of loneliness. So the best way to sort of temper that is to learn how to welcome, to learn how to be welcomed, and to learn how to welcome. Because if we know what it feels like to not feel welcome, then that can give us energy and wisdom and knowledge that it's important to have someone else feel welcome. It's very important, and sometimes you don't even know you're doing it. Like someone might say something and someone else sighs, and you agree with that sigh. It's like, oh, someone else is with me on this. Someone smiles at you. You don't know. You don't know what will happen. The other day, I was looking at a car, and in the car back, in the rear view window, there was a sticker that said, I hope something good happens to you today. Wow. Isn't that great? I felt a little less lonely because of that. So why do we welcome? Because loneliness is in this world, and we ourselves can help that with ourselves and others. We can practice welcome. And in our congregation, we call ourselves a welcoming congregation. That's one thing that we did, and that was originally a social justice initiative for LGBTQAI plus individuals, but also it's just about how do we practice welcoming in diversity? How do we practice and claim you are welcome here. You can feel belonging here. You can feel at home here. And if you walk in and there are people that say, there have been places, and this is one of them, where I can walk in and I can just feel like there's room for me and like someone's got my back. It's this kind of sort of idea. It's not any one person. That's the kind of community that will help people feel welcome. That's a welcoming congregation. So why welcome? Loneliness. Another why of welcome, I'm doing 3 L's, just, because. Learning. Loneliness, then learning. The other day, I Googled a word that someone else was using in a conversation that I was a little embarrassed that I didn't know what it meant. So while they're talking, I'm quickly going, what the? And I got I came into the conversation. And sometimes that's very helpful. But it's also a little different than it would have been 20-ish years ago, where I probably would have said, what does that mean? And that might have caused a different kind of conversation, and hopefully not judgment from the other person. But Google is wonderful. Internet is wonderful. Our cell phones are wonderful. And they're stopping us from asking people questions. Like, I see that most with directions. I've always loved asking for directions, especially in a city that I don't know. I will find someone that I wouldn't naturally talk to and go over and ask, do you know where XYZ is? And usually it's successful. Sometimes people will answer that question even though they don't know. They just want to have an answer for the question, and I'm somewhere else. But usually it works. But there's this interchange. You never know what could happen in that interchange. The other day, a friend and I were not figuring out a bus schedule, and we went and asked somebody, and he had a thick accent, and my friend said, you sound like you're from Kentucky. Is that Kentucky? And, yeah, that's a Kentucky. And then a whole conversation about Louisville, Kentucky happened, just because we walked into welcoming into a space where we could learn from one another. Another thing that this congregation is called, or that we like to call this congregation, is a learning environment. Now, that just doesn't come naturally. A learning environment is being willing to learn, being willing to teach, not having judgment that someone didn't know something, not having judgment that you didn't know as much as you think you should know, that we're feeding each other, with each other, welcoming each other's experience, welcoming each other's lives here. Now, right now, I'm not going to ask everybody how old they are, but I bet you there is a couple thousand years of experience in this room right now, if you add up all of the ages. There's so much that we can learn from one another, and the only way we're going to do it is welcome the learning. So loneliness, learning, and then the third one is love. Our founding concept of Unitarianism and Universalism came from the very beginning, is love your neighbor as yourself. Love your neighbor as yourself. So again, you have to love yourself so that you can love your neighbor. Sometimes if we don't love ourselves, then we're not going to treat our neighbor very well, right? So we need to welcome the grounding of a love of self and love of neighbor. When you walked in, there was a sign that said, share in beloved community. That's a phrase we're going to use a lot. It's a new phrase that not a new phrase, but a phrase that we're using in our dialogue about who we are and why we are. A beloved community is a community that practices from the center of love, that practices from a welcome and an affirmation of the other, from a celebration of the other. Beloved community is how we're going to get into difficult things like social justice, anti-racism, or even feeling lonely. And there's lots of groups that are now trying to practice beloved community. And I just want to share a couple of things that people think of. Often there's these norms or these things in the beginning that you say, okay, we're coming here, because we can't just assume beloved community. You have to actually practice it, and we forget all the time. So these are some of the things that are spoken of in the group Courageous Conversations toward Racial Justice that many of us are a part of. So we remind each other to try on new ideas and ways of thinking so that you practice releasing judgment. You're curious, you simply notice, isn't that an interesting way of looking at it? It's okay to disagree with ideas, but don't judge the people as wrong. It's not the person that's wrong. Maybe their idea you feel is wrong, but the person themselves, no. Avoid shaming and blaming others and yourself. And that goes right along with the wrongness. You know that shame, sometimes people feel guilty for having done something that they did, but shame says you are wrong. We don't want to do that to each other. We don't want to do that to each other. Respect confidentiality. The other thing is, when we tell stories, You have to ask the other person if it's okay to tell someone else. You do not own a story that someone tells about their lives, so that we can feel safe speaking about our deeper truths. And there can be many truths in the room. That's a hard one, but it's true. There can be many different ways to see and know something. So you have to keep a kind of open, kind of welcome of not knowing, which is hard. And then we want to listen to understand, not to respond. A lot of the times we'll listen and we think, okay, I'm supposed to answer this to sound as smart as or as good as. No, just listen. Just welcome what the other person is saying to you. And then if you have a response that comes, that's fine. But don't get into a conversation thinking, I have to control how this conversation works by my response. Listen to understand. Curiosity, patience, love your neighbor as yourself. In the spirit of welcome, we use our relational power. We're each relational creatures. We use our relational power to heal and not to harm, to help and not to hinder, to love and not to shame, to welcome and not to disdain. So we're going to sing together a hymn that we all want to learn. It's called Woyaya. We've done it before, but today we have the wonderful choir who has agreed to go ahead and sing it through. It's number 1020, right? That's what's next, right? Woyaya? Am I? Yeah. Okay, so 1020. This is, it's a difficult one to sight read, but what we're hoping to do is practice it enough so that it's a song that we like to sing together. And the only thing to point out as you're looking at 1020, and many of you know this, but some of you may not, that there are places that you need to repeat what you've just sung, and you'll see like 2 bars and little dots that will help you understand that those will be repeated. And the choir is going to sing through this, and if you could follow through, and then we'll go ahead and sing. So you don't have to stand up first. The choir will all sit and sing this through to get a feel. So you're studying the hymn while the choir, unless you want to stand. Is standing easier? Oh, sitting is fine. Okay. So just follow through first, and then we're going to sing it together. Okay, and at the end, the woyaya stuff, just play. You don't have to follow that. Is that okay? Woyaya, woyaya, woyaya. But wait until the end. Okay, please rise if you are able in body and spirit. Let's go through this. next? What? Let's join our hearts in the spirit of prayer. One minute, I need to check this. I'm new to today. Okay. God of all naming, source of all being, that flows in rivers and blood, wind and breath, in our hearts and hopes. Thank you for this day. Thank you for this community. We so need to be together. We so need to feel hope. We so need to recognize each other. It may seem small, but it is radical, and it is needed in this world. Thank you for the opportunity to do this. And let us send out hopes for many that are in pain in the world. The Moroccan earthquake right now is urgent, and people are still going through the rubble of heart and situation. The fires in Maui, people are still working through. The war in Ukraine, the unrest in Africa, Sudan, Yemen. Let us welcome peace into the world as best as we can, and hope for humanity as best as we can, so that we can ease into life worth living for all. Amen.
Everyone. Oh, my name is Louise, and I'm so grateful to be the new Family Ministries Director here. So thrilled, yay! I've already met so many of you, and I look forward to meeting so many more. So for the faith reflection today, I'm going to tell you a story to help me a little bit. It's a story that I think really represents my faith. So when I was a kid, I played in the woods so much. I loved the woods. There was a woods right behind the house where I grew up. I was so lucky to be able to just play there all the time. I would often play there with my friends. We had so much fun, so many adventures. And there was this one particular swamp. And it seemed but it was a late November day, and a very fun is that I have kind of to remember like non-important dates. So I actually remember the date. It was 2009. I decided to swamp with Lucas, even though it was November, but I was like, whatever, have fun. I was also wearing details. November, Maine, sandals, swamp. Okay, so I'm just like anticipating, you know, maybe it'll be like up to my ankle. Not up to my ankle. So I step into this swamp, and it's like a middle upper thigh. Like I'm really in the swamp. But luckily, I'm there with my buddy Lucas. He helps me kind of get out. So I'm all in one piece. No harm done, but I realized, of course, I'm wearing sandals. So where do you think sandal is? Probably at the very bottom of the swamp. And I really like those sandals. I'm back. So I go and I ask my dad for help to get the sandal back. And so he gets up and he comes into the woods with me, and we have this big stick, and we're in the mud, pulling up stuff, trying to get the sandal. What do you think we found but another kid's sandal in that very same spot in the swamp? And my dad turns to me and he says, in like a kind of weirdly ominous tone, he was like, "They've claimed another." And I was like, "Whoa, Dad, kind of a creepy thing for you to say." But then he helps me get out my sandal, and so eventually now we have 2 sandals that were at the bottom of the and so this story, I think, really speaks to some parts of my faith that are important to me. So one is that I really experience the divine in nature. I go outside and I just feel the sacred. Not always sure exactly what the sacred is, but I do know that I feel it. Second piece is I really love to get messy. I love mud. Mud's so fun. The older I've gotten, the better I've gotten at like knowing how to clean things up. So now I just love to make as big of a mess as possible. Mud is so fun. Messiness is so fun. And if we're even going like a layer deeper, community can be messy, and our lives are messy, and perhaps we can lean into that, and that's okay. The third thing is that community is really important to me, and I feel the sacred in my relationships. So I was okay in that situation, even though I was like really stuck in the mud, because I was there with a dear friend, and then Dad was able to help me get out. And so even in the times when I'm really stuck, literally or metaphorically in the mud, I truly believe that relationships are so important in our lives. And the fourth thing that perhaps relates to my weird memory, that exact specific date, November 29th, 2009, is that I really believe that right now matters. Here we are, it is now, and this is what we've got. Really love to just when we can. So those are kind of four things to get to in our company. I'm sure we'll get to share more stories with each other and learn about each other a little bit more, for which I am excited and very grateful. I'm sure you have plenty of wild, wacky stories of your own, and I'm so excited to hear them. Just so you know a little bit about what my position is and does, I'm the Family Ministries Director, which in a lot of ways is similar to a position you may be used to, perhaps a Religious Education Director. A lot of similarities. However, this has an emphasis on family, which can mean different things, and we really love to embrace a variety of things that means. I do a lot of work with children and youth, which is very dear to my heart as a summer camp person. We also do some pretty regular family events, and I'll help make those happen. And as time kind of gets going and we sing into it, right now we're like focused on getting the children and youth started, but I also at some point be doing some different working with adults and different things as we kind of figure out together. So it's very much a position where we're all figuring out together, and very excited for it. The thing is, I'm sure there's so many people out there who are doing like fantastic, wonderful work with this community, and as much as I would love to be a part of every little cool thing you are doing, fortunately, I cannot. However, if there are ways that you would like to collaborate with our family ministries programming, maybe there's a cool project you want to do with our youth, maybe there's event you want to hold that would be great for families to come to, something like that, those are extremely exciting, and I would love to talk more about what that can mean. So in the meantime, I'm just really grateful to be in worship with you together, and I look forward to getting to know everyone more. Thank you.
Thank you, Louise. It is that time again when we have our offering. Today's offering is dedicated to the service of Milton. To give, please follow the instructions printed in your order of worship or shown on your Zoom screen. For those in the meeting house, you may also deposit cash or check into the collection plate that is located in the back of the church or going out the back door. We welcome all to build a just and healthy world with faith, love, and compassion. So please support our faith community by giving as generously as you can.
Alleluia.
As I extinguish the chalice flame, may the flame of our faith burn deep and wide within us for justice, peace, love, laughter, welcome. Have a good week. Amen.